Hi, and welcome to Pet Pals. Every week we showcase animals from the Frederick County Division of Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. I'm Linda Shea. With me is Randy Cooper. This morning we're going to look at 5 dogs and 5 of our felines. And our first dog we're going to take a look at is Tyson. Tyson is actually still a puppy. He's only about 9 months old, but he's a large at 76 pounds. Came in previously owned, and the reason that he was turned in, the folks that got him were moving and he was too big to take along. So a consideration when you are introducing a pet into your family, regardless of how you get that pet, you want to consider that they are going to grow, they are going to get bigger, especially breeds like pit bulls, Rottweilers, German Shepherds tend to be larger size, so you just need to understand that that's what they're going to do, and as a responsible pet owner, that's what you need to consider when moving, and of course previously, but before you get a pet in your life, you want to know that they're going to get to be a larger size. Tyson is, he's very sweet, he's inquisitive, he walks fairly well on a leash, but at 9 months old, he still needs some manners training overall. We do color code our dogs and cats and bunnies. So Tyson is color coded green, meaning that he does need some work on just your basic manners, but you can tell he's affectionate, he's social, he's good with people, seems to be good with other dogs, and available for adoption. So this is Tyson, only 9 months old, looking for a home. This little girl is Bailey. She's obviously mistaken herself for a lap dog. She is a Rottweiler Pit Bull mix. She came to us previously owned, and at this point in time, she is about 14, 15 weeks old and about 30 pounds. She's very busy, very affectionate, very active, and we have a recommendation that she does have a very strong personality, so we are recommending a best match for her is someone that has Rottweiler experience. Rottweilers in general are they're very intelligent, they can make their own decisions, they can be a little bit pushy, and Bailey certainly exhibits some of those tendencies. So if you are looking for a puppy, being a first-time puppy owner, she would not be a good choice for you, but if you have large dog experience, especially a working type breed, then Bailey would be an excellent choice. As you can look at her, she is affectionate, bouncy. If you've never owned a dog before, even if you had, this behavior sometimes can get tiresome after time. So while it's cute and while she is still a puppy, it's in her best interest and your family's best interest to spend some time training and spend some time paying attention to her and rewarding her for good behavior and not rewarding her or ignoring her for bad behavior. And the other part of any kind of training session, you want to make sure that you have the rules established beforehand. And in bringing a dog into your home, you have those rules established also. They're either allowed on the furniture or not. They're allowed to beg at the table or not, and we recommend not. So all of those kinds of things we will discuss in an adoption interview. But this is Bailey, again, about 14 weeks old or so and about 30 pounds of energy. This little girl is Chanel. She's about 9, 10 months old, and she is probably the best behaved puppy we have in the shelter and probably one of the best well-mannered puppies I've seen in a very long time. Again, about 9 to 10 months old. She came in previously owned. Her owner was from Florida, moved up here, and when he got up here, the landlord said he was not allowed to have pets. So of course we asked the question, did you know that before you moved here? And he said he did not. So again, if you're going to move, you want to establish those kind of things before you actually decide to move. If your pet is not allowed, there are landlords that will allow pets, and sometimes it requires a deposit, sometimes it requires extra rent. But again, you need to kind of prioritize and see if a pet is important for you to keep. You want to make sure that you establish that before signing a lease. But Chanel is extremely well mannered. She's fairly quiet. I know that she can bark. I've never heard her bark, but I know she can. She's a boxer mix. She's about 31, 32 pounds. And she came to us, this is the 3rd animal shelter that this puppy has been in her short little life. She started out in Florida. She was at Orange County Animal Shelter in Florida. She was at Seminole County Animal Control in Florida, and now she's here in Frederick County Division of Animal Control. So she is pretty comfortable in a shelter environment. However, she would certainly do best and is very deserving of a family life, of a home, of a place where she doesn't have to go into a kennel, you know, with 30 other dogs around. She's already spayed. We went ahead and heartworm tested her. She was heartworm tested negative. She's current on all vaccines, and she is also microchipped. Her adoption fee as a puppy is $150. And for puppies, we do a little extra screening because a lot of people want puppies and they just don't understand the commitment that's required. But this is Chanel. If you're interested in adopting her, we invite you to come in and visit, interact with her, and we can explain the process to you further. This little girl is Cami. If you're wondering, she's only about 4.5 pounds, and she came to us as a stray from Riggs Court in Frederick. She's about 7 months old, a Chihuahua, very affectionate, very sweet. Coming to us as a stray, we don't have any background history. We do always encourage people, though, if you are missing an animal, regardless of the type of animal, you know, from small dogs to even livestock, you want to make sure that you check the shelter. So many times we take in strays and people just don't think to check here. We do have a stray page online that you can look through, but it's the best thing you can do if you are missing an animal is to come into the shelter physically when we're open. We're at 1832 Rosemont Avenue, and our phone number is available to call, and then physically come in and look around and then file a lost report so we can be on the lookout if you're missing a pet. But Cami came to us as a stray. She is a puppy. She's a little girl. Prior to leaving here, she will be spayed. She will be microchipped, so in the event she gets away from her new adopters, we can return her if she ends up at the shelter again. Chihuahuas are typically, she's an example of a lap dog. So one of your obligations if you choose to adopt a dog like this is you want to make sure you keep them safe. You want to make sure that you watch if they're underfoot. You want to make sure that you provide them a good diet. With Cami, she's got her baby teeth still retained, so we're waiting to see if they'll actually come out or if we'll need to take care of that during her spay or at another time. Normally with spays, with any animal that, or with any animal that comes into us that we don't have a history with strays, we do go ahead and provide vaccines. So she's had a distemper combo vaccine, preventative kennel cough vaccine, parasite deworming, and preventatives. And all of that at 7 months old. She also will go through the puppy process. So we will take up to 4 applications, and that's our effort in just screening. Again, so many people want puppies, not understanding the responsibility that they entail. But this is Cami, and she is available for adoption. The last dog we're going to take a look at is Pete. Pete came to us as a stray. He's about 1.5 years old, and he was found on Route 355 in Frederick by the Target, the Riverbend Shopping Center area, and he was found on March 29th, so he's been here at the shelter since then. He weighs about 51 pounds, and the most noticeable thing about Pete for me is that he's very shy. So he is a dog that would need someone who's got dog experience, who's had dogs before, preferably bully breed experience as well. We had to shave his little right ear, you can tell a little bit. He was either scratched crawling under a fence is what our vet suspects, or in his travels as a stray somehow got that minor injury, but that's what that's about. We did have a vet examine him. He, again, is about 51 pounds. And again, coming in as a stray, we just don't have a lot of information on him. We do behavior assess all of our dogs, and probably the most striking thing on his behavior assessment just is his demeanor. He is friendly with people. He reacts favorably to other dogs. He's easy to obtain out of his cage. He's a little bit nervous, and he's a little bit, at this point in time, camera shy. He does have really good behavior with people. He averts his eyes when you look at him. He shows a little resistance in handling his feet, which is not unusual for dogs, and then handling his mouth he seemed really good with. So the comments here that he's sweet, just very shy. and he does get startled with loud noises. So he would be a dog, again, if you have dog experience, he'd be a good choice. I would recommend, if you have small children, depending on their activity level and age, would be something to consider or give thought to if you were interested in a dog like this. I think that most situations, adopting an animal will work, can work, but it is a two-way street. You have an animal in your home, but then you also have a responsibility to employ some decisions and some boundaries to make the relationship work. But this is Pete, and again, available for adoption. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at 5 of our felines that are looking for forever homes.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Do you know the top risk factors for breast cancer? Number 1, being a woman. Number 2, getting older. So, if you are a woman and 40 or older, you should be screened for breast cancer. Talk to your healthcare provider today about getting screened with a clinical breast exam and mammogram. Doing this regularly is important, as early detection can save lives. For more information, contact the Frederick County Health Department's Breast and Cervical Cancer Screening Program at 301-600-3362 or visit our website at frederickcountymd.gov/cancer-prevention.
Did you know that one of the leading causes of death in America is motor vehicle accidents? Hello, I'm Sergeant Jody Maybush of the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. According to the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration, each year traffic crashes kill more people in Maryland than homicides, and over 90% of total crashes are preventable incidents caused by driver error. Motorists can help law enforcement in preventing these tragedies by making the right choices on the road. Remember, speed kills, so slow down. For every mile per hour that you drive, the likelihood of you being involved in a crash significantly increases. Avoid distractions such as talking, texting, or emailing while you drive, and always wear your safety belt. The most important thing is that you arrive to your destination safely. So please, drive smart and help us in keeping Maryland roadways safe.
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We're going to take a look at some of our cats that are in need of forever homes. First little kitty, or not so little kitty, we're going to take a look at is Sochi. Sochi is about 9 to 10 years old, and if you're wondering, she's bigger than the Chihuahua was, bigger than Cami. Sochi is about 17.5 pounds. So she's a big girl. She's a diluted tortie with white. And at 9 to 10 years old, she does qualify for a senior cat discount. And again, we don't think that they are worth less. It is just an incentive to get some of our older pets adopted. So many people come in and they have a right, they want either puppies or kittens, and that's fine, but we want to encourage folks to consider older pets. A lot of times with older pets, their personality is established. They already understand the house rules. If they've lived in a family, they understand what that's about. The reason Sochi was brought here, the family actually adopted her from the shelter about a year ago, and they had her in the family for a year, and then a baby was born, and they were concerned because Sochi was hissing at the newborn. So, just a couple of notes on that. You don't want to jeopardize your child. However, there's nothing that says the cat needs to be around the baby. And sometimes cats are just curious, or they're not happy with the smell of a baby or the sound the kid's making. So you just want to consider that. Again, anytime you introduce a pet into your family, it's a lifelong commitment. Cats live an average of 15 years. If they're indoor pets, they can live much longer. So again, before you adopt, you want to give some heavy-duty thought as to how you would handle moving, how you would handle newborns, how you would handle life change situations. But Sochi's here with us now. She's front declawed. We don't advocate that, but she came to us that way. And again, a large girl at 17.5 pounds. This is another one of our senior cats. This is Tabitha. She's about 12 years old. She came to us previously owned. She's only about 9 pounds, so she's just a little over half of what our previous cat was. We do snap test all of our cats for leukemia and FIV, and they all test negative, the ones that we have available on the adoption floor. Tabitha is color-coded orange, meaning that she's not necessarily a lap cat, although she's doing really well right now. But she is very tolerant of being handled and being pet. And the reason that she was turned in, her family, sounds like they had quite a number of children. They've had her for 10 years, and she was turned in. They were trying to, and this is quoted, reducing our expenses. So a lot of times people don't realize when you introduce a pet into your family, as pets get older, they may not cost more than they once did, but there are sometimes extra diagnostics. The money that you put into them is going into different places. They might need supplements to keep their joints comfortable. So those types of situations do come up with older pets, so it is something to consider. However, depending on the family, if you only have one older pet, a lot of times that's doable. If you have a number of pets, then you just have to renegotiate the budget a little bit. She did live with a dog. As far as we know, they still have their dog. Says that she's afraid of the vacuum, which is the case with a lot of cats. The sound, the noise, the traveling of the machine can sometimes throw them off a little bit. But as you can tell, Tabitha is very sweet, 12 years old, very deserving of a forever home. For those of you that have been waiting for kitten season, I think we can establish that it's formally here. This is Cassie. She's about 11 weeks old. She's a little over 3 pounds. She is already spayed. We go ahead and we do pediatric spay neuters here at the shelter. That's our contribution to eliminate or at least reduce the number of unwanted pets in the community. Cassie has been in foster care. She is your typical kitten. She's busy. You can see she knows how to climb. She's very affectionate, very interested and curious in the world. With kittens, typically this time of year we start having a lot of them. So you want to make sure that, if we don't have a kitten that you're looking for at the moment, come back, in a few days, the following week. We're always, this time of year, we have kittens nonstop. Cassie came to us as a stray from the Deer Valley Drive Park area. Again, we test all of our cats for leukemia and FIV, and Cassie is negative. We've brought her up to speed on vaccines, on preventatives, on deworming. She did have a round of suspected upper respiratory infection, and that's not unusual for cats and kittens. And one thing that we stress, especially with visitors to the shelter, you will see signs on cages, you will see hand sanitizer on the wall. It is extremely important that visitors, when you're visiting the shelter, we don't do it to be mean, we don't do it to discourage you from visiting, but you do need to use hand sanitizer in between animals. There's nothing worse than getting a 4-week-old kitten in the shelter that's developed an upper respiratory. We treat it, it gets better, it goes on the adoption floor, and then just from the number of people handling or putting their fingers into the cages and not hand sanitizing, sharing germs. So again, it's, we do have protocols in place, and we do encourage that, and don't be offended if you're here visiting and we remind you to use hand sanitizer before you touch any of the cats, and then in between each cat. Each cat has its own set of germs, so we just make an effort to prevent them from getting sick again. But again, this is little Cassie. She's just one example of many of the kittens that we will be seeing soon, and especially many of the kittens that are coming back from foster care. This handsome girl is Clover. She's about 10 to 12 months old. She's a domestic medium hair, and you can tell she is also color-coded orange. While she's not designated as a lap cat, she's perfectly comfortable sitting with Randy. She came to us previously owned, and the reason that she was turned in is the owner said that she was too much to handle, too much at this time. So again, the person that had her had acquired her from a friend in September, and now it was March when she was turned into the shelter. So you just really have to think about, we can't encourage enough, the long-term responsibility of being a pet owner. Cats can live an average of 15 years. So when you see the cute little kittens that come in and you're anxious to adopt or acquire them from a friend or gain them in some other manner, you really have to just stop and think. Last year we took in over 3,000 cats and kittens. Half of them were owned, so about 1,500 were previously owned, turned in because folks that thought they wanted them for whatever reason changed their mind. So certainly not fair to the animal, so really think about it. We're here to answer questions when people come in, they think they might want to adopt. Remember that a cat will need to go to the vet at least once a year. If there's an issue, it might be more. You need to provide a litter box. You need to change that litter box on a regular basis, or the cat may choose to not use it. You want to make sure that if they've got medium or long hair, such as Clover, you want to brush their hair. Cats are great at maintaining their own coat, but they might need you to help them out, especially if they get knots or mats. So that's just a little bit of the responsibility of being a cat owner. So again, this is Clover. She is gorgeous, she is young, and she is in need of a forever home. The last little kitty we're going to take a look at is Shamrock. And if you think he looks like Clover, that's because he came in with Clover. So in all likelihood, they're litter mates. Came from the same place and for the same reason, just too much to handle. Shamrock is a boy. He is also about 10 to 12 months old. He's a little bit bigger at 9.5 pounds. And he has experienced the same thing in the shelter. We've brought him up to speed on vaccines. He did have an upper respiratory infection shortly after arrival. So when that happens in the shelter, people often ask, what do you do when cats get sick? Well, we have a sick isolation area. They are pulled off the adoption floor and they are held in the back for about 10 to 14 days for treatment. We do oral meds. We do any other kind of medication that they might need. We certainly observe them to make sure that they are certainly getting over whatever illness they have. That's the goal. There are sometimes cats that get sick with an upper respiratory infection that end up not surviving. They just don't respond to treatment. And in taking in over 3,000 cats every year, that's a lot of cats to medicate and treat. So again, a gentle reminder when you're visiting our shelter, please adhere to the signage that you'll see about sanitizing hands in between cats. Shamrock is about 10 to 12 months old, so that puts him at a juvenile age. So he is still kittenish in some manners, but will be establishing and sort of leveling off on a personality over the next 6 months or so. Prior to leaving here, he will be neutered. Clover will be spayed, and again, that's our contribution to eliminating and reducing the number of unwanted cats and kittens in our community. So again, this is Shamrock. As you can see, he's very sweet, very handsome, and very much in need of a forever family. And that wraps it up for this week's Pet Pals. We are so glad you could join us. If you've seen any animals here you're interested in adopting, you want to make sure you visit us, 1832 Rosemont Avenue, during the hours that our kennels are open. And we hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time on Pet Pals.